Okay, the final of these three presentations, looking at the lab. We're working in the food labs on the 10th floor of the Middlesbrough Tower. See this way, some general advice on working in the food labs. It's essential that you do have a look at this. We'll have a quick look at some of the highlights now. Right, okay, so what have we got? Okay, so general welcome, general useful links, who's who, a tour of laboratory and available equipment, which will include the texture analyzer. Nice pictures of food, and there's the texture analyzer there. And if we click on that, it produces a big image. It'll be set up for us to use. And there's a full guide of the texture analyzer link through here, so have a look at that. Safety is vitally important. We don't allow load work and things like that. Risk assessment's already been done for the lab, but there are some things that you need to do. You'll need to sign in and sign out. And you'll also need to do various things associated with medical questionnaires. When you're in the food lab, wear flat shoes, don't wear high heels, have your hair tied back. You'll need to wear hair nets. If you have a beard, you'll need to wear a beard net. You wear the shoe covers, you wear paper lab coats, you wear gloves if appropriate, and various other things. And you'll also need to do the medical questionnaire and the food lab's rule form, which I'll have a look at on the next slide. And there's Kim talking about showing how you put your lab coat on, which is quite important. You do need to put these things on properly. You'll need to wash your hands before you go in the lab. Proof practicals are really relevant what we're doing. Okay, so lots of good stuff in there in general terms. Oops, sorry, open it up again. That didn't want to open it up again. Right, of particular importance is the information on health and safety, PPE and hygiene. These are all legal requirements for people working in the food lab, which is registered with the local authorities of food business. And there's a couple of links here, a link there and a link down there. You are required to complete this medical questionnaire before entering the food lab. It's not particularly intrusive, not particularly detailed, but for example, if you've had an upset stomach recently, you're absolutely not allowed in the food lab. You also need to read and sign that you've read the food lab's rule forms. So there's a link there and a link there. It's essential you do these before you come in the lab. Okay, the texture modification labs. If you see this video, it's got a quick review of the in-seat flow test method, which is one of the things we'll be doing in the lab. You might also want to look at the channel information. This is IDSI's own YouTube channel for a range of other useful information, including how to do the tests on solid foods. You review this material before you come into the labs. Again, a reminder of the main IDSI framework. Characteristics of the method for liquids, which we'll probably try out in the lab. Use a particular syringe, and you measure the amount of liquid remaining in the syringe after 10 seconds, which may be nothing or it may be a lot. It's said to be representative of drinking from a straw from a lipped beaker. Again, some more links here, some general background, a good video on the IDSI levels here, and a video on the, it's probably a bit out of date now. There's more information, more up-to-date information probably available in that one now. These are the characteristics of liquids at various IDSI levels based on the amount of fluid remaining in the syringe after a specified time, normally 10 seconds. We've already had that, haven't we? Never mind. Starch thickeners are used to produce liquid food with specific IDSI levels. You will experiment with amounts in the lab based on this information, and it will be up to you to experiment. There's no particular method for doing this. You'll have to have a play. Record the results in Excel, and it should be your results. Your actual result is an average of 3 different runs. So we'll plot this an XY scatter, our trend line, look at the R-squared value, sort of standard stuff you do for straight line data. Okay, tests on the prepared texture modified meals, which we bought. Here's some definitions, background. If you're writing this up, you would use these as good references, what we mean by adhesion and adhesive force, and there's a quite detailed technical paper which you don't need to read, but should you want it for reference, it is there. Okay, as we noted in the previous lecture, there are issues with hospital food. Particular production distribution for patients with swallowing difficulties based on time and temperature and a range of other factors. Again, there's various links we've seen in other presentations there if you're interested. So, meat and 2 veg. Meals specified at EC level 4 should have all of its components at that level, and they should not change over a reasonable amount of time. If it goes down to, EC level 3, which is soft, it's probably not a problem. But if it goes up to EC level 5, which is harder, it may be a problem for specific patients. And it should be true after both microwave and oven cooking. Whether this is an interesting question, as we've discussed in previous lectures in this series. The meals will be ready for analysis at the start of the lab. You will need to take a note of the time the texture analysis was done. And again, we'll go for 3 different sort of measurements. We've got we've got 2. 3 is probably a bit too many, but we've got 2 texture analyzers now, I think, so we can probably do both. We'll measure it after 15-30 methods, measure adhesiveness, and 3 times if possible. This may depend on a range of factors. We'll decide during the lab. Results recorded in Excel will probably provide a ready-to-use file because there's quite a certain amount of processing needs to be done on the data here. So I'll probably do an Excel file and might do another video on how to use it. I'll have to have a look at the file, what we did last year. Right, that's all folks. Thanks for listening.